Hello students, in this video we're going to learn how to solve fractional equations. Do get ready a pen and some papers and practice along with me. Let's look at some examples. Supposing I'm given 3 over x equals to 4 minus x and I'm asked to solve this equation. Why is this called a fractional equation? It's because we have a fraction here. 3 over x is considered a fraction. So what I've done here is examine the denominator of 3 over x. So the denominator of 3 over x is x. So we're going to multiply by x on every term, which I have shown here. X multiplied by bracket 8, bracket 3 over x. Then x multiplied by bracket 4 minus x, close the bracket. So x, we can write x as x over 1. Bracket means times. So when we do something like that, we will get 3x. You multiply the numerator, that gives you 3x. Multiply the denominator, gives you x. And therefore this x and x goes off, give you 3. So that is the purpose of doing something like that, is to get rid of your denominator, so you only left with the numerator. Right, so on the right hand side you can expand this to get x multiplied by 4. That will give you x multiplied by 4. Then go back to x again, multiply by negative x. So you end up getting 4 times x, 4x. X times negative x gives you negative x squared. And if you were to bring every terms to the left hand side, you'll see that, in other words, I'm going to minus 4x to get rid of this, and you have to do it on both sides, and plus x squared to get rid of this. You end up get a quadratic equation which is x squared minus 4x plus 3. Alright, so to solve this quadratic equation, means to find the values of x, I'm going to use the quadratic formula. So to use the quadratic formula, first of all, let's write down compare it with the general form of a quadratic formula, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. So that will give you a to be 1, because x squared means 1x squared. So that gives you a to be 1, b to be negative 4, and c to be 3. Negative 4. Make sure you include the negative sign. And then the next step is we write down the quadratic formula. Right, and we substitute in the values for a, b, and c. Right, and you can just use your calculator to evaluate this. This will give you x equals to positive 4 plus, use your calculator to evaluate this one. That gives you 4 over 2. That's one answer. And the second answer will be x equals to 4 minus square root 4 over 2. And that gives you 1. Alright, so that's how we do it. Let's look at the next example. So the next example is also an equation involving a fraction. Right, if you look at this one, okay, 2/3 is a fraction, and if you were to look at the denominator of the 2/3, that's a 3. Keep in mind that for later use. So step number 1 is to expand this. Expand it means we're going to open up the brackets. So to open up the bracket, you just take x multiplied by x, and then x multiplied by negative 6. So that will give you x squared minus 6x. And do the same also for the right hand side. Take 2/3 times x squared and 2/3 times positive 1. Alright, so like what I mentioned earlier on, look at the denominator of your fractions. To get rid of it, we're going to multiply the left and the right with 3. This is what we end up with, right, so there's another bracket here where we're going to expand it to get 3x squared minus 18x. And of course, the purpose of multiplying with 3 is to get rid of all this. So you end up only 2x squared plus 2. So if you put everything on the left hand side, you will end up getting a quadratic formula, right, where you can use, you'll get the quadratic equation where you can use the quadratic formula to find the values of x. So if you compare it with your ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, your a is 1, x squared means 1x squared. So a is 1, b is negative 18, and c is negative 2. So with this value, substitute in the quadratic formula, and then use a calculator to evaluate, and that will be your answer as far as the three significant figures. Right, let's look at the next question. The next question is also a fractional equations. Why is it a fractional equation? Because if you look at the left hand side, 2 over 1 plus x is a fraction. What we're going to do is that we're going to write 4 minus x as 4 minus x over 1. Right, because 4 minus x divided by 1 will still give you 4 minus x. So just remember that if you have any number like 4, you can always write it as 4 over 1, or a 3 to make it as 3 over 1. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply both sides with 1 plus x. Okay, and you see that this and this goes off. So what is on the left hand side, what is on the right hand side, I'm just going to shift it to the left. What is on the right, shift it to the, what is on the right, shift to the left. What is on the left, shift to the right. And this is what we get. Okay, and here you can just use distributive law. This is your first term. Take the first term, multiply by 4 minus x. That's how I explain here. That's how I get this term. And then go back to your first term, which is a positive x. Multiply with the second term. Okay, this is called the distributive law. Otherwise, you can just use, some of you, if you have learned the rainbow method, just take this, multiply with this, this and this, this and this. Okay. So it's okay whichever method you use, just make sure you get it correctly done. So you end up with 4 minus x plus 4x minus x squared equals to 2. And if you put everything on the left hand side, you will see that you end up getting a quadratic equation again. Alright, so here it would be good to multiply by negative throughout, so that you will make the coefficients of a to be positive. Oh, I didn't do that. Never mind, it's okay, not necessary. Just leave it as negative x squared plus 3x plus 2. So the coefficients of x squared will be negative 1. And coefficients of b will be 3, c will be 2. Substitute into your quadratic formula and you get the answer. So if you like to do what I've just mentioned, you just multiply everything, every term with a negative. You will end up getting x squared minus 3x minus 2. 0 times anything will just give you 0. And here your a will be 1, b will be negative 3, c will be negative 2. And if you're going to substitute into your formula, you will still get the same answer. Okay, you still get the same answer, which is 3.56 and negative 0.562. Right, let's look at the last questions for the on the examples. So for the last questions, you see that on the left hand side I have two fractions, this and this. So I'm just going to do a recap here. If you do remember how we add something like that, how we take, let's say I want to take 3/4 to plus 2/5. If you were to remember how we do that, we find your common denominator, which is the multiple of common multiple of 4 and 5, that is 20. So just multiply by 5 in the numerator, or 5 at denominator. Multiply by 5 in the denominator, 5 at numerator, and for the other one, multiply by 4, and then you end up getting 15 plus 8 over 20, right? So that gives you yeah, we won't continue. So the concept is it's the same. This is how you do it in your younger days, right? So the concept is the same. We're going to find the lowest common multiple for 3 and 2, which is 6, which is a 6. So you're just going to multiply times 2, and because there are two terms here, bracket it and put the 2 in front. This one here, if times 3, bracket it, put the 3 in front. It's very important to follow, to do it properly in this manner. Otherwise, you won't get the answer. And then you end up having lowest common multiple to be 6. So this will be 2 bracket 2x plus 1 minus 3 bracket x plus 3 equals to 1. I'm going to simplify the numerator. That will give you 4x plus 2 minus 3x. This is negative 3. With a positive 3 will be minus 9 over 6 equals to 1. Simplify further, 4x minus 3x will give you x. 2 minus 9 will be negative 7 over 6 equals to 1. And what we're going to do is to get rid of 6, just multiply by 6 on both sides. So you will have this and this goes off. So x minus 7 equals to 6. X is equals to 13. Okay, so this is quite easy. Right, let's practice. For the next 3 slides, I provided you with some questions to practice. Answers are provided. So do try your best. And if you don't get the answer, refer to the examples again and check your working. Happy learning.